Hello, hello. It's your astrologer friend Kimberly here to talk to you about the astrological transit that we've got coming up. It is the Mercury retrograde in Scorpio and Sagittarius 2025. Let's get into it. So, I am here to help you work with astrology. I am available for personal consultations. I'm beginning to teach astrology, and this video is designed to help you and to help you benefit and work with the astrological transits that we've got coming up. So think of this video as a way to basically anticipate what's going on. Let me just close that Zoom window. So what we're working with is the transits of the planet. So first of all, let's remind ourselves what Mercury retrograde is and what Mercury is as a planet and what it means when it's in Scorpio, what it means when it's in Sagittarius. So Mercury is our planet of commerce, communication, and connection. And you're going to remember that two easy ways. Mercury is the planet of merchants, so people who are in charge of commerce and trade and transactions. And also, Mercury is a metal that looks like silver, right? It's a silver moving metal. And so you can think of the exchanges that we have with cash and coin as being mercurial transactions, and therefore Mercury being this planet that allows us to engage with others, to, have this back and forth, to have this transactional process. But it's also about the mind, how we think. And so when Mercury is in a sign, it's going to be colored by the quality and the flavor of that sign. And so, just to be really basic about it, Scorpio is a water sign. It's a sign that the sun shines in during Halloween. And so, if we think about Mercury in Scorpio, which is where we are right now, Mercury in Scorpio carries with it an emotional sensitivity, an intensity, a quality that allows for probing and investigatory sentiments. And Mercury in Scorpio, we consider as cutting quite close to the bone. We consider Mercury in Scorpio to lift the lid on issues and topics and discussions that are confronting or that are not easily confronted. And when you have Mercury in Scorpio, when you are born with this placement, you might have a bullshit radar so that you can read between the lines and see through people's nonsense, right? You can probably sit back with a pensive stare and take out your magnifying glass and, read people for their energy with intuition, going through things not with logic and with mathematical equations and science experiments, but instead with what is going on at a very human, emotional level. So, Mercury in Sagittarius is putting Mercury, our thought planet, into fire. This is more spirited. This is more mutable or a moving placement. So this is a sign that is much more dexterous, but it can also be very spontaneous, which Mercury is sometimes not quite happy with, right? So let's just leave that as the descriptions of Mercury in Scorpio, Mercury in Sagittarius. Now, during this Mercury retrograde phase, we're going to have close interactions with Mars and the new moon. Mars is our action planet and is the planet of gumption, drive, and diving headfirst into matters. Mars is really helpful when we want to act and we want to take action. The new moon is a point of newness, new beginnings. And so new moon moments are all about setting intentions. But as we'll see in a second, we have a new moon that is conjunct Mercury retrograde, which is a little bit more complicated. So we've got some dates here of some important moments throughout this Mercury retrograde, and I will do a horoscope by sign in just one moment. Okay, but let's first go through these points and have a look at the chart in motion. I use Astro Gold software. It's my favorite. It's available on Mac. I am not sponsored at all, but I love it. It's my favorite. I'm also the daily horoscope writer for Elle Magazine UK edition. The Astro Twins do the USA edition, but please do look me up and read my daily horoscope, because I'm sure you'll find it useful, but hopefully you're going to find this video useful too. So we are currently on the 20th of October. And that is an important day because Mercury is meeting Mars in Scorpio. But let's just go through this animation here. I'm going to whiz along the screen. So you can see that Mercury entered Scorpio on October 6th. So we've already been in this domain of Scorpio mentally with Mercury operating in this sign since October 6th. So if you were being really, if you were really scrutinizing your agenda and what you wanted to look at, you might think to yourself, what has been on my mind since October 6th? What have I been thinking about, discussing? What's been important to me for me to process since October 6th? Or if there was a particular issue you wanted to figure out, maybe you would think to yourself, if it's been on the table since October 6th, right? So October 6th, Mercury entered Scorpio, and then we have this moment just working with, you can see here, the new moon in Libra, which at the same time, Mercury and Mars are together. So you can just see at 18 degrees and 19 degrees of Scorpio, I'm just waving those back and forth, just ahead of the new moon, Mercury and Mars are together. So Mercury being connection and communication and exchanges, Mars being fighting, aggression, directness, taking action. So if there's an urgency to express yourself, if there's an urgency and a drive and a compulsion to say something, you might be responding to that Mercury-Mars conjunction. And at the same time, we have that new moon coming in, so fresh energy, new moon energy, right at the end of Libra, the air sign. I've made a separate video on that. Go ahead and watch that one. That's a completely different topic. We're just going to focus on the Mercury retrograde here and now. So keep your eye up here on the Mars Mercury, and post new moon, the moon moves through Scorpio and teams up with these planets, and the sun moves into Scorpio. Okay, so we're now in Scorpio season beginning 23rd of October in the UK, and Mercury entering its pre-shadow phase, which means that all the conversations that we're having are anticipating having a reappraisal or a revisitation later in the Mercury retrograde cycle. So really on this 23rd of October lunchtime moment, and around that moment, you can consider that we are very much in the headspace to be discussing the Mercury retrograde themes. Okay, so stuff might have already happened, but we could be at this point reflective, we could be pensive, we could be contemplating, we could be in the zone. It's like, say, for example, you went and bought a load of things, but on this Thursday, you were kind of like going through your receipts and thinking like, how much did I spend? Like, where am I at with my finances? Or, I really wanted to go on a date with this person. I really wanted to do that. Like, where are we at with our messages? You might have already been messaging back and forth, but you might be rereading through the message trail, for example, on this day. So that puts us right in the heart of Scorpio season. Then we do have this trine between Mercury and Saturn, and then a trine between Mercury and Neptune. Okay, so let's take a second just to appreciate that since 2011 and 2012 more permanently, Neptune has been in Pisces. We are now at the last breaths of Neptune's tour of this water sign. Neptune being the modern ruler, the contemporary ruler of Pisces, Neptune being at the 29th degree, which is a power degree. Neptune and Mercury conspiring at the 29th degree of these water signs to bring us into awareness, to bring us a major reminder. And this is why I'm so passionate about A, astrology, and B, sharing astrology, is to give you that reminder that there may be a moment you can take out of your day just to reflect. What has Neptune done for me? If you want a personal reading, I'm available. I can help walk you through it, but you might have the ability to just take a minute to reflect on, if you know where Pisces shows up in your chart since 2012, around this time in October, think since 2012, what has Neptune dissipated? What has been elevated? What has been mystifying? What has been, wonderful? What has filled me with wonder with this powerful Neptune through Pisces transit? Because we're never going to see this in our lifetime again. Oh, it's soon to be gone. And then Neptune will be in Aries and then Taurus. And it takes like 14 years to go through each sign. So we're just not going to see this again, guys. And we're seeing it not only with this trine from Mercury, but we've got this grand, impressive water trine, this triangle appearing between Mars, Mercury, Saturn, and Neptune, and an exalted Jupiter in Cancer. Wow! How incredible. And it's Scorpio season, and Mercury is going to hit this point 3 times for your benefit, for your interest, to really cement the dream that has been Neptune and Pisces. If you're interested, I can do a whole roundup on the collective things that Neptune has touched on. Just 2 examples are the viral nature of art, the quality that Neptune has brought to our cultural landscape, dissipating the boundaries between copyright and Pinterest worthy sea of images, Instagram worthy sea of images, repost, 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 just this absolute ability to, things to go viral. Second example, COVID. Of course, Pluto in Capricorn is a marker of global pandemics, but the fact that COVID so very much affected the lungs, which is the area of grief, and Neptune being very much, the last sign of the zodiac and it being grief based, and, water being this phlegmy, viral area of the body. I personally think Neptune and Pisces and us having this COVID was very fitting. I thought it was very fitting. And the amount of deaths and suicides and endings that occurred during COVID and it being such a big topic, loss, grief, so on. It's very Piscean, very end of times. And here we have Neptune at the 29th degree, Mercury at the 29th degree, allowing us to reflect on that. And it being just before Halloween, so kind of a real appropriate time for us to grieve again, to reflect, to dream, to bring things somewhat full circle. Okay, the thinning of the veil, etc., etc. Then Mercury enters spirited Sagittarius and opposes Uranus immediately and makes a sextile to Pluto immediately. Of course, we do work with wider sextiles and oppositions, but this is when it really starts to hit. Uranus is a planet of genius flashes of insight. Mercury opposite Uranus, Mercury synergizing and harmonizing with Pluto. Wow. These are incredible moments to plug in. These are incredible moments to read your horoscope on LUK because I'm updating daily transit report. Like this is a daily update. But here you might connect to really big issues culturally or, macro or micro. They're still really profound conversations that you can be having. It's a lot. It's a lot. And I want you to benefit from these transits. I want you to work with these transits. So, for example, this could be an incredible day to have a powerful conversation. But remember, Mercury in Sagittarius is very frank, is very spirited and spontaneous, which might not be wise words coming forth. So just be careful. We're also at this point in the first quarter moon phase in Aquarius. Aquarius is very cool. Scorpio is very scintillating. This energy is very complex and interesting. So we've got that grand water trine between Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, which is just so powerful. But then also the first quarter moon in Aquarius. It's very candid and very new wave. It's like a new wave of energy that we're kind of embracing. So, remarkable time. Try and track your thoughts, ideas, and what's coming up for you at this time. And moving on, Mars enters Sagittarius as well, turning up the heat. And then we'll also have Uranus re-entering Taurus. And this is also the full moon in Taurus. So I'll obviously do another update there. That's the full moon moment with Mars engaging Pluto and Uranus again. And then Mercury stations retrograde. Uranus is popped back into Taurus. And here you see those two, Mercury and Mars, together in Sagittarius. And they meet. They have a meetup on November 13th. Okay. Then Mercury goes all the way back, resextiles Pluto. And then, guys, here it gets interesting again. Moon moves into Scorpio. Mercury re-enters Scorpio. Mercury opposes Uranus. There is a new moon moment in Scorpio. So just take on board the astrology. We've got Venus, Moon, Sun, and Mercury, and then the new moon occurring with a conjunction to Mercury retrograde. Can you see it there? Yes, like an exact conjunction. So if you're in any doubt around what the theme of your Mercury retrograde is, here is another opportunity to stop, to pause, to backtrack, to remember, to revise, to rework with Neptune, to soak up the energies of water. Massive, massive. We'll go through a horoscope by sign in just a moment, but just see this chart, guys. Like, look at this here. Mercury, new moon at 28 degrees, Neptune at 29. I mean, watery sentiments are flowing. Empathy, compassion, grief, a kind of all-encompassing resonance at a unconscious level about developments. Letting go, releasing expectations of outcomes is huge. You know, for example, if you were an artist, if you were a Piscean artist who just wanted to share your work with the world, your beautiful work with the world, but somebody tampered with it, somebody took it and run with it, and you were kind of trying to get it back and fighting and warring with big corporations, this might be a time when you're like, you know what? I have acceptance. I'm going to zoom out, zone out. I'm going to just go with the flow and see what happens. And at that point, when you're able to let go, that's kind of where the magic happens. And what will be, will be. So we have the new moon, and then Sagittarius season begins, but there's still a meetup between Venus and Mercury that occurs, which could be more information getting revealed, another side to the story being revealed. Venus is the ruler of Taurus, and we've just had the Taurus full moon, so that could also encapsulate some extra information. So then Mercury appears direct. here. Venus enters Sagittarius. And so again, and Venus obviously opposing Uranus at the end of Taurus, Mercury goes ahead forward, reconnects with Neptune with clarity now. So here we have on the 11th of December, 11th of December. This is the third time Mercury trines Neptune. Now, by this point, Saturn and Neptune are direct in Pisces. This is another gorgeous moment for us to claim clarity around Neptune's premise. What has Neptune delivered? What has Neptune eroded? What has Neptune dissipated? Where has Neptune made me confused? In awe, in wonderment, since it's been traveling through Pisces. I mean, again, guys, exciting. Still in that grand trine, Mercury, Neptune at 29 degrees, Jupiter still there in Cancer, of course. But you can see how we have this grace and this opportunity around Mercury and this Mercury retrograde to backpedal, to revise, to review, to enjoy giving Neptune its due, giving Neptune its acknowledgement, right? Anyway, and then we're pretty much finishing off, but I'll just include the new moon in Sagittarius. And by this point, Mercury re-enters Sag. So we're back into this kind of new energy. And as it has done that, it has opposed Uranus at the end, made its trine to Neptune, and also done another sextile to Pluto. Okay, hopefully that's not too confusing. If I've wet your whistle, if I've enticed you into learning more about the stars, please, please, please sign up for my beginner's astrology course. It's called Astrology Essentials. We're going to be going through the essentials of astrology. So let's now do a sign by sign analysis of Mercury in Scorpio. I'm not going to do Sag. Let's do the Scorpio just because then we can include the Neptune in Pisces, right? Whole sign. Let's go for it. And let's take it up to a really nice moment where we've got those at the last degree. So let's do December 11th. Lovely. I love writing horoscopes. I'm so glad that I get to do this job. It's just a privilege. I do hope I can make some money at it. So let's go from Aries. And one other thing I wanted to just say, Kim Kardashian, I know I'm basic. I know I'm bloody basic, but Kim Kardashian has just done an interview with Call Her Daddy host. I can't remember her name. Can't remember. Alex. Can't remember her name. I can't remember her name, but she's a Leo rising. That's what I do know about her. Alex, something or other. Anyway, she's got a podcast called Call Her Daddy. She gets incredible guests. It's a really favored podcast that I listen to. I like it. Kim Kardashian's just been on it, so clearly she gets all the big names. And Kim Kardashian has Mercury and Scorpio in the 12th house. So that's just an example. If you like a bit of celebrity juice, you might want to listen to that interview as well. And the kinds of traumas Kim touches on, which are super private, i.e., Kanye's mental health issues, her marriage, lifting the lid on secrets, and, basically talking about things that are not usually talked about on the Call Her Daddy podcast. Okay, time for a sign by sign. Let's do it. I'm not going to apologize for talking and talking and talking and talking and going on and on and on. You're here with me, hopefully. Stay with me, guys. So for Aries, this Mercury trine Neptune, Mercury being really deep probing issues, Aries rising gets the basic interpretation of this because their chart is so well lent to interpreting the astrology. It's the first sign, so it's not too complicated. Mercury is your planet of communication, Aries, and in the eighth house, in Scorpio, you might be touching on trust issues, betrayal issues, sensitive issues, long-term plans, where you're headed and with whom. This can also be about taxes. It can be about death and grief. It can be about mortgages. It can be about contractual agreements, signing paperwork over. Mercury is the pen, Mercury is money, Mercury is exchanges. What's trading hands? Like what paperwork is being worked on, Aries? I say it because I know exactly an Aries who's been doing exactly that. And Neptune at the 29th degree, where have you surrendered over the past decade? Where have you had to surrender massively? Where have you had to let go and cultivate a new idea of healing premises, healing modalities? Where have you had to just zone out and accept and let go and let God into your heart, having faith not just that everything's going to turn out okay, but like refashioning your ideas about what okay means anyway. Having a oneness, having a sensitivity to the things beyond our control, to what's going on unconsciously. Let me just get comfy here. I'm crooked. Okay, Taurus rising. Mercury is your planet of money. Taurus, and I know you love money. Okay. And Mercury is now operating in Scorpio, your opposite sign. And so this could be a lot about relationships, a lot about one-to-ones and engaging, and then moving into more nuanced trust issues and what other people are going to do for you, what other people are going to give you. But Taurus risings could be dealing with these relationship issues and how it impacts your resources and your money, how it impacts what you do in your career, and a lot of charge around that, but also Neptune through your house of teamwork, community. Perhaps you've had a whole new group enter your life. Your social scene might be completely different. Your industry network, the people and peers that you gravitate towards could look so different now to what they did in 2012. You could have been working really hard to come together with a group or with a team. So, this Mercury retrograde wants you to acknowledge who your friends are and what you're working towards financially. Like, there's a double message in there. It's like one's about community and teamwork, and one's about your financial obligations and how you step closer to fairness and reciprocity. And communication as well is a big deal for the Taurus risings as well. Gemini risings, your planet is Mercury. Mercury is your ruler. And so whenever there's a Mercury retrograde, you could be at the behest of the wanderings of Mercury. And so Mercury is in your house of work, organization, daily rituals, diligence, and Neptune has been in your zone of career and prominence and prolificness. So Mercury wants you to acknowledge how hard you've worked and how well you manage things and the results that you've been getting to be a stellar success. Literally just had a conversation with a Gemini rising, a cherished Gemini rising friend who is and who has risen to prominence as the editor of the Mountain Astrologer magazine. Shout out to Stellium Astrology. And so mythologies, health, work, and how to stay on top of things has been part of our conversation. Staying organized, keeping things going in a logical, sustained, scorpionic way. And that person has moon in Scorpio. I don't know if I should say that, but no one's really watching anyway, so it's fine. You are all watching, of course. Okay, so Gemini risings, you're prolific, you have risen to success, your star has risen, and you can mentally acknowledge the way that you work in order to keep that reputation golden or silver. Okay, Cancer's risings. Cancer rising. Mercury is the planet of clandestine affairs and hidden secrets. And Scorpio is your house of sex, children, lovemaking, creativity, joy, entertainment, showing off, being playful, being childlike, being silly. And basically, Mercury is now in your house of creativity, of artistic projects, of passions, of dating, of love. Mercury being this planet that typically keeps things hidden, but now you could be acknowledging how far you've come on a public global stage. Neptune has been moving through your house of global audiences. So you might want to connect to people long distance, other cultures, or to this incredible journey that you've been on mentally. I mean, take me, for example, Cancer rising, Mercury moving through this sector of performance, and me putting myself out here on YouTube, trying to share wisdom, share this journey I've been on with astrology since 2011, to the nose, guys. It's really been a journey, and I've worked hard, and hopefully that shows and it shines. But yeah, like the Cancer risings have been on this journey of expertise cultivation, journey of faith as well. The ninth house is about religion, it's about spirituality, it's about education and growth, and Mercury tapping into that with these fun projects that harness the growth of Neptune's tour. Okay. Leo risings. Mercury is your planet of social community and connection. Social, life, community, connection, and of peers, like your peer group, your friends. So with Mercury in Scorpio, you could be aware of the people that you trust to be in your inner world. So you could be posting on social media about your home. Privacy issues might be a thing for Leo risings, like how much you reveal about where you live could be a topic. And Neptune has been moving through your house of reciprocity, shared space, financial commitments, investments, and entanglements. So since 2012, Leo, you might have been on this really winding journey to discover and uncover and learn more about what can be shared from your heart, like what you want to entrust in others and what others entrust in you, right? This is the house of betrayals as well. So there may be a situation, or there may have been a situation where somebody broke your trust, where somebody didn't give you something that you needed, or that someone basically has sorry, I'm zoning out here. I'm tired. Let me just take a second. Leo rising. This is the house of reciprocity, and basically you may have learned some really hard lessons lately about who you can trust, about what people are going to give you and what you give others. And Mercury in this zone of home and hearth and mothering and family connects you in a really deep emotional way to these issues of like, well, who do I trust? What have I been working for? You know, where is my financial investment paying off? And where the people that I'm collaborating with, where like basically how are we scratching each other's back? Jupiter in your 12th house is also sending you on this really significant inner mission. You may be withdrawn, you may be going through something in your unconscious, moving through things, processing, transitioning, letting go in a really significant way. So for Leo risings, just allow these changes to happen. It might be super confronting and fearful. Remember, Scorpio season is so mystifying. Like these planets that we're dealing with are hard and confusing, and it could be really overwhelming for the Leo risings with this configuration. For any of the fire signs, quite frankly, it could be a really confronting time. I'm thinking of a Leo rising that I know who's going through a questioning process of like, will I, won't I, will I, won't I, will I get what I want, won't I? Is this person going to give me what I want? Or am I out on a limb, you know? And with Pluto involved there too, it's adding intensity. Could be really intense around, your property, around your home life, around common bonds. Okay, sorry, I've gone on and on and on, but it's a real tender topic. Virgo risings, Neptune has been in your house of relationships. So since 2012, you might have completely eroded your ideals and ideas about what relationships, marriage, friendship are, what that means to you. And Mercury in your house of connectivity and thought and mind process and thought process and mindset is allowing you to tap in and talk. There might be a sibling you need to talk to. There might be somebody like-minded that you can pick up the phone to just get straight on these issues around relationships. These are big planets again, like Neptune, it's huge. So there may be revelations and revelatory experiences for the Virgo risings that are really prolific, really profound. Okay. Sorry, I didn't go on as much for Virgo as for Leo, but you know, Libra rising. Resources and your job and your health journey are huge right now, as is your career and how you follow the path to your destiny, vocationally speaking. Libra rising, Mercury is in your house of resources, earnings, and financial affairs, and self-confidence and self-worth. So you could be thinking and rethinking, what do I want to do? How do I want to make a living? What am I doing? Like, what am I good at? Like, what is my job? And basically Neptune and Saturn in Pisces are inviting you to think about how much has shifted around your body, your health, your well-being since 2012. You might have had a complete overhaul in how you take care of yourself and how you want to conduct yourself in a job, in a position of service, in a role that sees you dutiful and giving, right? Like in a role that sees you showing up day after day. That could be the role of mother. It could be the role that you have as your professional job, or it could be duties that you undertake in any other way. So think about how much you want to earn, what you want to do, what you want to do to make a living, and how you want to be rewarded. Libra rising. Scorpio risings. This is all about you and your personal identity and what you want to do with when Mercury goes into Sagittarius. But also, Neptune has been working its way through your fifth house of creativity, love, sex, children, joy, fertility. So, this is really, I want Scorpio risings to think about how they have joy in their life. Joy, usually, astrologically speaking, comes through hobbies and crafts, sex and lovemaking, or children. And that's your three options. Vacations as well, holidays, and downtime, sports, that's hobbies, crafts, hobbies, artistic expressions, hobbies. So there may be a shift that's happened since 2012 encompassing your lovemaking and your approach to sex, right? You may have gone from being a Mormon to now being polyamorous. I don't know if Mormons are polyamorous, are they? Are they like the wives, sister wives? I don't know. So much for my Neptune in the ninth learning about religion. Um, anyway, for the Scorpio risings, you may have been through this journey of being loose and footloose and fancy free to now taking sex and sexuality in your sex life seriously, right? Or you might have a creative venture that you've been taking seriously. You might be somebody who's very artistic and has now turned this art project into something really solid and meaningful and joyful. So, sex, joy, crafts, hobbies, artistic stuff, and what Neptune has delivered in terms of artistic inspiration, your fertility journey. Perhaps your expectations have shifted because you know that you will not have a child and that you are child free. And perhaps that's introduced some whole new awareness around fifth house matters. So use Mercury to tap in to your Neptunian journey through that fifth house. I can think of so many Scorpio risings with a child and an art project, Scorpio rising with a new awareness of sexuality, Scorpio risings that run bars, like very Piscean occupation for the fifth house of joy, like having fun running a pub. Okay, Sagittarius risings. This Neptunian transit has occurred at the base, roots, and foundations of your chart, relating to your stability, security, and how you anchor yourself. Since 2012, think about what you have learnt and experienced around home. Have you lived on a boat since 2012? How has this wishy-washy planet been able to completely overhaul your impression of home, mothering, security? Mercury is at the very end of Scorpio and your 12th house of secret activity. Your ruler Jupiter is in your 8th house of shared space, betrayals, collaborations, commitments, investments. Where do you depend on other people and work with them in a really considerable fashion in, coming together to trust, to give, to reciprocate, to scratch each other's back? Mercury is poised to give you deep insights. Mercury is poised to help you process, surrender, accept, and zone out, to avoid even. This is the unconscious area of our horoscope. The 12th house is the area of subconscious pulls. And so you might do well to meditate deeply during this Mercury retrograde cycle. Go back into the video, watch the dates of when Mercury is connecting with Neptune to really sink back into awareness of home, of nurture, of self-care. This is important for Sagittarius rising. I really hope all my friends, followers, and loved ones that are Sagittarius rising are paying attention to this one. Capricorn rising, and also with Sag risings, secret activity around the property, hidden agendas in the property. What contributing factors allow you to understand home as a principle. And, basically, this is about broaching the things that are really uncomfortable. Imagine Halloween, how spooky it is. How spooky it is to confront topics that nobody wants to talk about, right? Something hidden, something clandestine, something spooky. Are you going to talk about it or are you going to keep secret? This is Mercury right at the end of your 12th house. What are you keeping hidden? and what is being kept under the hood, under wraps, in the folder of, you know, what's those folders that those policemen have and they're like top secret, right? What are you going to keep in that folder and what are you going to entrust others with? Perhaps somebody that's a Pisces or, you know, somebody in spirit, perhaps God. Capricorn rising. This Mercury trine Neptune is happening in your house of friends and connections and community, 11th house, and third house, your sector of neighbors, communication skills, mindset, thought process, news, social media. Since 2012, Capricorn rising, what has come on your radar as a major topic of interest? Since 2012, what has been the subject that has consumed and flooded your mind? Your friends can talk to you about that now. Since 2012, that is a long ass time. It's a long ass time. Astrology, conspiracy theories, drugs, getting swept up in some kind of a mystery, even a murder mystery, loss, grief. I have been neglecting Uranus in Taurus here, but it just goes to show that Uranus is in your house of passions and children. And so there's excitement and hedonism and crafts and arts for the Capricorn risings and the Capricorns that can also be touched on. But anyway, looking at this Mercury trine, grab a friend, grab people to talk to, because this is such a good opportunity for you with all these planets going through Scorpio to team up, to get in a group, to reach out to people in your network and to take action in the beginning of these transits, to collaborate, to express yourself and to get clear and clarity on what you think. Love this for the Capricorn risings and the Capricorns. Aquarius risings, a successful time with the planets going through Scorpio. But do you want to rebrand? Do you want to rethink your aspirations and what success means to you, Aquarius risings? You are getting such prominence right now. You're getting visibility. And when you move on to the Sagittarius season and when the planets are going through Sagittarius, that's a true time to be collaborative and community focused. But with this Mercury retrograde in Mercury Scorpio, perhaps there's something pensive that you're talking about. Perhaps there's something urgent on your lips that you're keen to address. And it could be financial. It could be very much about your personal security, about your finances, about how you are seen and perceived as a success. But how does this impact your self-worth, your value, your net worth? Aquarius, much about money, career aspirations, work and health, maintenance, going through the motions. Pisces rising, our last sign to cover. Mercury's at 29 degrees in your house of wisdom and foreigners and exciting new horizons, tied to Neptune in your sign. And Neptune is your modern ruler. Oh my God, Pisces. Wow. This is like the end of your era here. Wow. Look how far you've come, Pisces rising. This is magnificent. Toot, 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 toot your horn far and wide. Mercury is the messenger. It's in your ninth house of publishing, projects, opportunities, foreign travel. That means that you can connect to those long distance, plugging into the absolute transformation and shift that you've had since 2011 slash more permanently 2012. What has happened for you, Pisces, since 2012 that you are now mentally plugged into as a celebratory moment? Well, guys, that's our walk around the zodiac with the Mercury retrograde message coming through loud and clear with that Mercury at the 29th degree of Scorpio hit upon 3 times. One, two, three. Mercury in Scorpio gets to that 29th degree 3 times. Use those moments to meditate, to journal, just to think, just to enjoy. And also use the new moon in Scorpio, which I will report on again, to plug in too. All right, that's enough from me. I've waffled on enough, but sending you all love and hugs on this Mercury Mars conjunction.